Already, they over there like, ain't told you they ass. Yeah. Y'all down with Farrakhan and shit? And Farrakhan can talk pretty good. He got some good delivery. He sounds like, you know, Malcolm. Brother Malcolm Cole that's speaking. Let me do the nods to my surroundings. It's coming around. Yeah, man. So, you know, we're jumping up in here, man. We're talking about the whole little Farrakhan, man. You know, he jumped into the news scene again, man. Farrakhan jumped into the game. He had something to say about, you know, what's going on in the world today. And that's a Farrakhan to talk, man. You know, he got some things to say. I don't know about Al Sharpton. We ain't seen him in a while, but we all know about Al, you know. Kind of messed up with that. Yeah, so people do a lot of things, man, you know. They did a lot of things for money, our people did. You know, they didn't have nothing. Our people didn't have nothing. Really. Things they took from us, you know, we had to be under, you know, the exclusiveness of this abuser, you know, that wasn't a so-called human. Now that we're seeing that there was a cabbage patch that was involved and there's some type of incubator thing going on and some type of Yaku regulation type of truth going on with that situation, but different timelines. But however, I just wanted to jump in with the Farrakhan situation, man. You know, he got something to say now, you know. It's something when he says that America's the niggas, man, it's our land or whatnot. It's like, you know, I could have sworn, you know, in the lessons we couldn't swim 9,000 miles to go back home to Africa, you know. I thought we should be focused on Africa. Ain't that our home? I know it's like, well, brother, you know, we built America. Well, you know, America had buildings already there and shit. You know, I'm talking about, you know, the Empire State Building, all that was there. Yo, peace. You know what I'm saying? Empire State Building was there already. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, as far as like, it wouldn't be no need for the nation of gods and earths to come into the game. As far as like a younger nation to learn the information of what was pretty much considered advanced at those times. We didn't really, with the true gods and earths, or you know, with the true 5% within the 5%, you know, they pretty much studied everything. You know, we use knowledge as the foundation and wisdom to actually be in the way to the understanding to get that supreme equality of like the all, basically. You know, we can use names like Allah, but then that's when you have to get a little bit more dealing with the language, dealing with stock where it comes from. If it's a Semitic language stock that born or birthed out Aramaic, and then we have, you know, Arabic that comes after that. You know, that's why you have similarity of letters. They just interchanged. You know. But we kind of shied away from that. We heard about Islam, but we never really studied Islam too tough like that until some of us took it upon ourselves to get into being a Sunni or being an Orthodox Islam. And then we learned about Sufi and all of these different things and just Orthodox ways and just being like, yo, man, I'm just like this. You know, we're just going to do it the regular way the Prophet Muhammad guided and da-da-da-da. You know, and so, but when we're dealing with someone like, you know, Farrakhan that tells us that America's going to be ours, you know, and we're not really focused on the homeland, and it's like, yo, niggas put in the work. We was already in America already. So now with the nation of gods and earths, with our lessons, we're not taking them as far as like, you know, our lessons is basically supreme mathematics and supreme alphabet and the 12 Jews, you know, and that came from what we call the Father, who came to the hoods or the ghetto or whatever you want to call it, where no one actually came to. He had a magnetic pull, just like a lot of do today. You know, we use our platforms of hip-hop and different forms of fashion to get paid. You know, we liked the money in those times, you know what I mean? But now I see it's a little bit more bigger than money. A brother that actually gave his life taught us how to have ciphers. You know, they actually wanted to lock him up in a prison, a mental prison and things of that nature. You know, we only knew about Allah at those times until, you know, the father most likely studied other books and history now, you know, and it's like, oh, it's deep. We were actually Mayans and shit. You know, it does correspond as being the original man is maker, owner, queen of the planet Earth, father, civilization, God of the universe. You know what I'm saying? And that little Yakub comes into play and he's dealing with student enrollment. That's for those who just know it all. But we're gonna just deal with the books. We're not doing the big eye little you on memorization of something that was answered very near and very correct. But we're jumping into the game. Peace. He's to stimulate all life and matter. I study life, all study life and matter. But you definitely stimulate it because you're the true and living. You got that light, the true light. You know, and that's what we came in with the point of like, yo, the Father was like, yo, ain't we gods then? Why do we have to be Muslims and things of that nature? Well, the body's Muslim, but what about our intellect, that fire that's within? What are we truly? You know what I'm saying? So we began to, you know, as you can see, it trickled down to us as where we are now. People like, you know, brothers like me, we're like a little older. I was the younger of the older generation, you know? And so my lineage came through my enlightenment. We had enlighteners and things of that nature. Now you can go online and shit and get mathematics. We had a different way of initiation as far as like, it's not even like a game. It was just like as far as like just being with an enlightener, your masculine and feminine energy, or your, you know what I'm saying, your knowledge and your wisdom side of you. You know what I mean? That's how we just put it into broad terms. I know we built America, but at the same being a true Amaru kind, a true nigga. We only consider niggas now, America now. We don't even consider Africans niggas, man, because Africans, the way they say it, it's in certain Africans around the continent. A lot of them don't even want to say it, you know. They don't even really relate to the word because they see so many black folks, they don't see niggas like us. You know, we have a different type of vibe when we come through, a different type of swing. You know, it's naturally happy. Spirit is not ripened, you know. They be succumb to all those, the witches and warlocks within, you know, within their genes that they become like, you know, subjected to the one who spell work when they get you off your mainland to get you over there. This is how they market to you and shit. Everything's to get you over there. He's like, when you came from the best part of the world, what is over there in Arabia? The best part of they got some oil, but Texas got oil too, motherfucker. You know, that's why motherfucking Arabs come in and you got different countries that want to own different parts of Texas, which is and the West Coast. They own so much, you'd be surprised how many forms they try to show them, like, you know, that the land that wasn't as green and plentiful like Africa. When they showed land that wasn't as green and plentiful like Africa. When they showed Africa, was like, that's the love of the most, like, figuratively, like, that's what it is, you know. As far as going now, as we got further in our studies, we start to see it. There's different. Different parts of the world they got with. It's, you know, all is, all was, and all will be type. You know what I'm saying? That's with us. Anything be type. You know what I'm saying? That's with us. Anything outside of that is made and created for a certain season and amount of time. It can't last because it's basic. Pardon 9 sub, y'all. Peace and blessings. Pardon 9 sub, y'all. Peace and blessings. Yeah, so I gotta check over I know they got it cloudy out here. Like, we already had to figure these things out, you know, and go through the motions. What they showed on TV, this is where they got it from. What they showed on TV, this is where they got it from. As far as like watching your funeral and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? If you're still on the land, you know, that's why they try to market to you to get you off your shit, and wherever you ain't never been, so off your shit, and wherever you ain't never been, so they can be able to kind of deal and do that work on you and shit, man. You know, and so this is why it's important to study the world and see what NAGA. You know what I mean? Because you already see that the truth is what power is decipher. You know, by utilizing knowledge to refine this weak and wicked that came before. Like if the more science had something that kind of not right, you're supposed to add on. Right? They actually came out there and took upon themselves to say what this is, and that's why we don't know what pointed in their work. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we don't know what pointed in their work. You know what I'm saying? So with someone, you know, as dealing with on our side of the world, we had straight pure connection to the Creator, meaning that we had the all source, meaning that our technology came from our ancestors who graduated and lived in atmospheria, what we see called atmospheria, which they got this from a book called The Owaspi, which is NOI, stay from, the more science temple stayed away from. Look at the thug right there. You know what I'm saying? And Malachi York stayed away from. They'll keep you entertained in books like Malachi York, keep you, because he's saying that he's connected with Elijah Muhammad. He'll keep you entertained in books that are like, you know, out there and dealing with Bringers of the Dawn, and I did also those type of books, and you know, Children of the Matrix with David Icke and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was, you know, years. And Malachi York briefly talked about on his home planet that had 3 sons or whatnot, and it was kind of marketed in a movie called Pitch Black at that time. You know, he was like, yo, we have what we call Denier on the world. Denier is like the angels that they don't say that already live a corporeal life, but they just say they were just angels that lived in heaven. So we'll just being more like because he's marketing to niggas who are God itself by just doing the knowledge of creativities and shit. You know what I'm saying? And shit, things that create job. You know what I'm saying? Because now I know this. We already know the science of I already have a vision and mission statement to draw this shit up, man. You know what I'm saying? The SWOT analysis, your strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and all that shit. Your threats, you know, analysis, your strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and all that shit. Your threats, you know. If I said it in the wrong order, that's what it is. But you see, by having a grocery store, you employ the sales. Now you got people who be outside the grocery store. They can arrest them motherfuckers and shit like that. But these people want to be on the corner, you know, making selling newspapers, and that's a business. But you're making it without seeing nothing to market to us to join your motherfucking ass. Like we're supposed to know, you got some niggas that already went to school for this shit. Nigga, hey, you know what? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You got the Jehovah's Witnesses coming through the shit of the Creator, secure breath of the Creator. It's like it is. Think there's air you're breathing, so getting in tune with that is important. It's like just doing, you know, as Nation Gods on Earth, we did the knowledge to, you know, Vedic astrology. Some brothers do yoga, you know, brothers went off to do Israelite, you know what I mean? Because they 6 first 2, nigga. 8. You know what I'm saying? We is gods, and we just only see a little aspect of the shit. You know what I'm saying? We're not seeing the full Monty of it, you know, because these people did come and abrogate our stories. But now we got to bring it to understanding that there's angels, false gods that are at play who hijack our heavens, but they didn't hijack the highest of developing the spirit to the heavens on work. Them niggas. Anyhow, we have continuing, ongoing in knowledge, which is our ongoing spirit, ever evolving and blooming like a dang fruit that just ever evolves. And they know this, but they want to keep us trapped in their heavens and their little sub-heavens by any means. I don't give a fuck if the heaven is deserted and dirty and they want to have you there, even if they know that the all highest God is going to make them redeem themselves by making sure that they redeem your spirit. You know what I'm saying? When you get there, they still want to have you motherfucking on earth going through hell. It's like, and then it gets so overwhelming, their time might be in atmosphere is very long, but Most High will allow them to have a kingdom until he redeems everyone to know that the all spirit truly is existing. And so, which is the great I am. And that's how spirits graduate off of earth. You can't just leave spirits all over the earth and it never goes off. That's what God's duty is to make sure you be right and exact, educate, you know, while you're in the flesh form, as well as in the S form, the highest God, the highest ranking angel. His duty is to make sure you clean up all these spirits that want to molest mortals and shit and get them to doing all kind of things that's foul and not right and exact. And these spirits, most likely, have already been aborted. There's a lot of abortions that took place. And they kind of rely on abortions due to the fact that these spirits are not emotionally mature in the flesh or in the spirit. So this how they send motherfuckers to catch them up like gangs and shit. Same thing on earth. Like nigga, they snatch them niggas up. They don't know shit about the spirit world. They don't know shit about the flesh world. They learn a little bit on how to be able to torment people who are in the flesh, who probably eat the wrong foods, you know, parasitic foods, poisonous animal eaters. You know, the nation of God's others will take the right and exact shit. Eat the rest. That's what the body does. If you're eating something foul, it'll take something right out of it to make sure it discard the rest of it, depending on how clean your body is. Shit. But if it's filthy, it's gonna be hard for you to clean some not right and exact shit about you. Yeah, it just add up and turn into tumors and shit. Your lymphatic system will be fucked up, and it'll be crazy. You know what I'm saying? We'll do knowledge, taking it back. Everything all good. You know. So you know, man. And just adding on to that, it's like they didn't really explain it. So. In the Mississippian culture, we already did all the things that they done already talked about around the world. We're dealing with the Heru science, you know what I'm saying? Even if they're dealing with Zarathustra in the Owaski, the Heru is still older considered in actuality in the flesh. But though Owaski can get you drawn into, you got to be very careful because it's like 82% right. You got to be very careful and shit. You got to use discernment. Most High in this age is giving us discernment. It's like the highest gift to, you know, the most evolved spirits, which is basically the ones who are evolved are the ones who are considered, you can say good, and then bad ones are not the ones who are not evolved yet. And ones are not, but the bad ones are the ones who basically will never be able to be evolved. Like, that's a bad fruit. That motherfucker, it was created. He's a creature from somebody else who utilized the atoms around him to make a creature. Like, the Most High chosen people don't do shit like that. We don't make creatures. We'll probably make some plants and shit like that to eat off of, but we don't do bullshit like that. You know? So, the great I am is pretty much how you have to be able to, you know, cultivate your own connection to the creator, the source, to everything that's around you, the breath, everything. I mean, good, the bad, the ugly. You know, niggas do that shit anyway. You gotta go in the hood, you gotta go outside. You got people who feel in a certain way, you know, whether it's, especially if you're in the hood around other niggas and shit who also have cluster B personality disorder, who are sad and self-sabotaging ways about them. You know what I'm saying? If they have these ways, excuse me, if they have these ways, you gotta be careful. You know what I mean? You can't be around these type of individuals because they have a fight or flight response that that, you know, that can trigger them. Your presence can trigger a person, you know, in this day and age. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with this cluster B personality. So, yeah, that's why it's very important, man. Cultivate the connection with the creator. Anybody with a true creator, I'm talking about the all I am, the source, the birth of mama, the true mama and papa, the real energy. You know what I'm saying? When we do that, we start to unite. That's the celibacy part that comes in, because all the false prophets, no matter how many books they wrote, it ain't gonna stand a chance. You know what I'm saying? In this day and age, and this is where the nation of gods and earths is. It's like, you know, if anyone's wondering about the gods and earths, it's like, yo, chosen ones basically choose themselves, and that's what it is. And it's like the Most High is like, I ain't choosing. If you choose to deal with me, to be at one with me, then yeah, you are chosen. If you just go ahead and go in the world and feed that lower animal instinct, that 666 self in you, then you go do that. But we're eating, on this side, we're eating silica food. We're dealing with a godly mindset, and that's what they don't like. Meaning that you gotta learn how not to eat certain things again. Not learn how to eat to live. You gotta learn how not to eat to live at this point. Depending on your stage and your development of who you truly is. I gotta do it now. Of what you is too. Your development in spirituality, shit. Just whatever. If you one of those sitting down, I gotta be chilling all the time in a certain season in your life, then yeah, you may not require that much food, you know. But if you are an active person and you want to put on muscle, you want to do these things of that nature, and not lose muscle, you know what I mean, which is something that your body can eat on its own, depending on what you eat. If you're giving it the right nutrients, the right minerals, because minerals is what really feed us all through our bones, our cells, and things of that nature. You have to eat a little bit more often, meaning that you may have to eat once a day. You don't have to overeat. You can drink a lot of your food. That's pretty much what you're supposed to do. All the false prophets should have told us that we can juice the majority of our food. Instead of cooking the beans and turning it into an acid thing and leaving acid ash in your belly and in your system, you know, you can be juicing now, eating more fruits. They was afraid of the fruits. I even heard Malachi York even say you ain't supposed to eat fruit. You know, Elijah Muhammad didn't really talk about fruit too tough. And he was focused on Muhammad speaks and, you know, mothers on the corner doing what it do. Instead of getting the little apartment complexes and putting all the followers up in the whoop and got the school over here with the whoop and got the garden over here. Instead of doing all that back then, too busy on TV and shit talking. And we trying to market to our people to spread a message to whatever, you know what I'm saying? We could have been doing all that, but, you know, I'm saying it now because they actually came to the hood, you know? And what have we benefited off of it? And for those who want to keep it, they can do what they do. But, you know, I understand when you come across a nigga, it's like, you know, that got knowledge of self, you're going to be seen just like a Jehovah's Witness or one of them Wyhammer Jesus freaks type people, you know what I'm saying? And bros will have to just, no, man, we ain't fucking with that, B. You know, if that case, if it was Africa was so important, we'll be over there doing what we're supposed to do. But we're not. You know, all the mounds is in America. Last thing you know, shit, niggas always been playing in the mud and making mounds and shit. You know what I mean? So we should have been already talking about that. That's thug over there like, yeah, nigga, that's right. You know, so they kept us off the great I am. Not really, it's kept us on Allah. Allah meant it does mean the God. You know what I mean? The Arabic, you know, we learned a little Arabic. You know, the guys everybody learned a little something, something. Like I say, they had different schools. Some of the guys went to Egyptology. Some of the guys went to the Holy Tabernacle and the niggas and shit. Kind of just to learn it, like, no, not to, you know, because you can buy yourself in their religion and Malachi York's religion. You know, shit involves money. It's like, shit, just like in fucking Judaism, the justice system, you can buy your freedom. They know you ain't got no money, so you can't buy your freedom like that. You know, it's crazy. You know what I mean? They use the shit against you, man. So anyhow, though, with the Farrakhan situation, it's like, you know, now he's in the game. He's telling us that, you know, America is ours, is inheriting it to be ours and shit, you know. And it's like we already kind of like knew this a little bit. A lot of us wasn't really giving into that whole situation. You know, a lot of guys and others was like, yo, man, yeah, unable to swim that 9,000 miles. We're just taking like, yo, we weren't able to born our culture right and exact. You know what I'm saying? And once we start born our culture and see our creativity of how we be able to, when I say creativity, I'm talking about being able to create something that was already is, as, was, and always will be type shit. That's where we use shit that's already created. Like, it just is. You know what I mean? These people are in laboratories making them and creating things. But we're making and creating our talents and shit. You know? It's different. It's a total different ballgame. What's what we're supposed to do, and we continue it on after we transition and shit. You know what I'm saying? I got to do it now. I got people over here pulling up. But yeah, so we continue this is what we're supposed to do. So instead of cultivating our energies with the Creator and, you know, getting in tune with our ancestors, who we're supposed to be in tune with, because we're in the age where we're supposed to really be in tune with our spirit side now. Because, you know, we came from the whole little Osirian cycle where we just like put it together in a science format, like better show and prove. Prove or show, whichever way, you know what I mean? So it's scientific, you know what I mean? So we was in that point, but now we can see the spirit world that's behind it. Like there's an actual false gods that came out with certain things at certain cycles, and this happens on all the world, you know? You got to use it to determine on what it is, but they know that they really can't talk about America too tough, because when they came to America, they started to really kind of call it what was going on, and they seen a lot of similarities of what was going on, but older things. And they're like, damn, you know, these dudes got Star Force all over the world and shit, you know. And then there's certain species that was able to come into the game, into the world, you know, and set up their shop. And it's crazy, because there was a false god named Anu Hassai, according to the Owaspi. That's kind of sounds similar to Anu. You know, he was like a fallen god. He kind of learned from the first fallen god, or the first fallen angel, angel is someone who transitioned, according to the Owaspi. His name was Amaru. He was the false god in the Vedic astrology, or Vedic science, which his name was Ahu Mazda. He was the false one. So he came into that name. And so basically he heard of America, but he never seen America. But people were going back and forth because them spirits had a hard time. They were afraid of crossing the water. And they knew that the ones in America are the ones who are like the faithest, or the true, they call them Iowans, which is the true ones that are connected to the all spirit, you know, and basically all inspiration from there, like really advanced. And so, and they know that they came to India before and built all those daggone temples that you see in India, damn near today, and shit, and Angkor Wat and all that stuff, and then basically going back and settling back in Amaru again. A lot of those structures are in the Grand Canyon. You just gotta Google it. You know, you'll see it's all kind of shit. Google's getting a lot of play now, but you got to see they're the same structures, but just older though. And so anyhow though, with the spirit game, so the Ahumazda, the false Ahumazda, which is Itura, he sent one of his emissaries through boom boom boom. It's in the S realm to come and see the land of, you know, the chosen, the one who's connected to the Most High. And he said, like a bloodthirsty wolf, he was like very into his thirst to get over there. So what he did was he sent them emissaries to possess the temples. In our land, we have so many temples and shit that we're just connected all kind of ways. Yeah, as you can see now, they still got the temples still stand to this day, but they call them churches and cathedrals and shit. But that was where we were doing things at, with the bells and all that shit. But he sent emissaries from his land who was able to cross the water back with, you know, who knew the passage, who weren't afraid, because the angels are afraid to cross the water. That's what protected them. And so now they can get in the planes and shit like that and hop in, and you can do spell work and shit if they cool with getting in the plane. Some of them still afraid of heights and shit. I'm saying it's the same type shit, but in the S world, dude. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to make it seem like these motherfuckers is extra motherfuckers. They can barely move a penny on the ground and shit. You know what I'm saying? So anyhow, But it's something that's cold, though. You know what I'm saying? Something that's cold. A lot of these witches and warlocks play with them. So they sent them niggas back, and they possessed the temple. And once we realized it was a false god, niggas kind of ran that false god away from them. Kind of like what the NOI say, like, we ran the false god from amongst us, you know, or, you know, he's afraid. I ain't gonna say ran the false god from amongst us. NOI didn't say that, though. But the devil was afraid that we'll run from amongst us once we find out how filthy he is in all his affairs, basically, you know? And man, that's pretty much what's gonna be going down and shit, because he ain't got nowhere to run except where I'm at and shit. Like, nah. The dragon's lair. You just ran straight to the dragon's mouth. No, so anyhow, man, so that's what's going on and shit, you know what I mean? So we kind of got over that. So that's why no false god and false prophet and none of that shit can really ride in America too tough. You know, the book is the book, but the book has been separated and abrogated, you know what I mean, a lot. A lot of our history is like, you know, it's in the Mayan temples and shit. A lot of our understanding of the whole little, you could say, creation story, which is the I am, or the creation of these certain beings, came about through the Mayan temples. You can look at it through that. But anyhow, so yeah, that's how they got over. So that's why they can't build too many things in our land now. So, and this is like pretty much the end, because the Most High is like, you know, allowing his hand to stretch across in the and on the land and in his babies now through just a natural, being a natural a philosopher type shit. Basically, you know, one who can read, a scholar and shit, just naturally with it. The baby's just chopping it up like, nope, it can't be that. It's this. His baby's making AI vids and shit, showing how the shit really was. It's like, damn. It's like these motherfuckers like, these niggas is beautiful. Some motherfuckers are sitting back like, man, you can't hate on this. These niggas is making movies out of AI, explaining the story. Ain't nobody talk about I ain't seen no story about no NOI history and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, or even Malachi York. You know, this little, you see Malachi York, you see little space looking shit. But nah, nigga, our shit has always been cosmic. Malachi York, I had to mention, like, yeah, man, you know, those niggas in America already. Like, you know, he was with the whole little way out of Africa, but he had to be like, yo, I gotta market to the niggas that's in America, because they gonna know that niggas is in America too. And that's when they're like, yeah. And so he had to do that, you know, and that's when he was able to get him that land and shit. But we weren't able to get our lands like that, you know. But the way he was able to get it, now they, you know, we can say we locked him up. We don't even know. Nobody's able to visit this motherfucker. Like the real ones, and you got people still promoting him and shit. And you know, it's like, that's cool with his knowledge and information. He wrote books so he can get paid, and with that money, we don't know what goes down. And we don't have cornfields, we don't have schools, we don't have birthing centers no more. Well, we're not no more. We don't have birthing centers, nigga. We're not sovereign. What did you tell us we should be sovereign? We're not that. We can't go to the county clerk of deed and say, nigga, I ain't this or whatever without a fight. You gotta put up, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It's all about that light, the inner light, dude. You ain't gonna be able to have to do shit. Once the inner light pops off, it's like, it's a whole different ballgame. I'm just one of me, but just imagine when there's a whole bunch of us, man. You know? Your energy is like very cosmic and ultramagnetic. And when we all are like celibate for that season, our energy is like at the crown chakra. We're actually studying. We're actually like putting all the history together. We're not having a big eye, little U or the lessons. We're not saying this is 120. It's like we know what the other parts of 120 are. You know what I mean? To make a 360-degree circle. You know, so we're not gonna argue over that like the older ones in our culture did. You know, but we're not doing that no more. You know, nobody from the hip hop culture never came together who was with the 5%. I'm talking about not even Busta Rhymes, not Nas. Who having a fuck? Ain't come together and get a plot of land. It's like, yo, we got gardens. All that shit we spit in that bomb ass music. Nobody said, yo, you know what, man? I want to come together with one of the brothers and do what they do. Get some land and some farmland. We plant some seeds. Instead of just being like, yo, I'm gonna get a juice bar. We're gonna be in New York. We're gonna still be in New York, man. Like, come on, man. But it's cool though. That was y'all season. It was about the necklaces and the bling and the rings, and you know, I understand, because we ain't have shit, nigga. We was poor, you know, we got nothing. A lot of our people, we was born out of, you know, prostitutes and pimps, man. You know, that's the truth. So they knew how to market to us, man. That we had a clinging personality, man. It was really, it was strategic. But they also knew that we was going to evolve and get to growing at the same damn time. And that's what's up. Yeah. So just to wrap it up, man. Situation in the NOI. It's like, while we're talking niggas, that right there just let me know that was the most pathetic thing we could ever do in history. I don't know why people look at the Million Man March as something that was a great achievement. That wasn't a great achievement, man. You know what I'm saying? We were still in our loving stages, still as being men and honorable men. But that achievement right there, to get all them people, million men together, and nobody came up with 10 businesses, 1,000 businesses, you know what I'm saying? That will be able to, we can employ like beehives around the United States. Either that, y'all knew that we couldn't do it, or y'all were just some dumbass motherfuckers who ever put this shit together and there was no smart, you know, people, I guess, you know? That's what I'm saying. A lot of that shit's not gonna go down. If we got 1 million people and we're looking at it from a business perspective, we know it's not gonna work. You know, Farrakhan, we got 1 million, we got an opportunity to get 1 million people, 1 million black men together, and to look at each other, to peace. We was in a good, loving state of that. It's coulda, shoulda, woulda now. That time's up. But we didn't even come up with 10 businesses. Not even one grocery store. Not the Million Man grocery store. Not the Million Man farm. You know, not nothing. We were selling Million Man March shirts. You know, the bus company probably got paid the most off that. The buses got paid. It's like going to a spot and you paying for everybody's free food from a vendor who's not a nigga and shit. Like, everybody came in and this shit. I know there's different cultures. I know niggas, we that kind. We gotta let everybody get a piece. But right now, you know, niggas is hungry, man. Niggas need their own. We're not hungry as well. We're starving. We understand now, like, okay, the ones previous to us, they accepted the money. That's what they did. We can't accept the money because we ain't got shit. We just want to have something so we can live our own little shit and let everybody go do their thing, you know. But the Million Man March is, to me, was probably one of the biggest disgraces I've ever came across in history. And I remember sitting inside, you know. So Farrakhan, you know, America was naturally ours, anyways. We already know it's the prophecy. We got every Israelite on the corner telling us this. Farrakhan didn't have to tell us this. The Israelites already told us that America's ours, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of our white folks told us this shit too, you know? And it's not that we're not slave making people, we're fun as hell. Prices be a certain amount, you know, everybody's having a good time, you know, true Sabbath, doing true Sabbaths. They know that everybody's seeing that it's really the true Hebrews, you know, even though they abrogated the story, they know what's up. So yeah, that being said, I can hold it up too long, man. As far as like, you know, Farrakhan, and I really focus on marketing Africa to us no more. When you want to go home, it's like I say with white folks when I see them, like, where you from? Or what's your nationality? Some of them don't even know. But when they do know, it's like, some of them go, some of them don't. A lot of them don't. They're like, wait, they don't want to go. Why? They've been in America forever. Been around niggas. Niggas is not, and now they know that niggas ain't brought from Africa. Niggas already been in America, so it comes to realize and figure out, like, damn, I like being around niggas there. Because this is a nigga's home. Whether if you're in the surrounding the Virgin Islands or whichever, you know? And everything's lining back up, so we're tuning back in. So I'm about to get ready to hop up off of here. But as far as like just building on, just seeing the fact that I was basically just building on saying that America's ours, and we already know the science. He was already in America. He's found that out. He had to build that to us. We're not from the whole African continent or whatnot. Some of our people has been shipped over there, and they're feeling left out, and they know where they're from. They feel that they are actually from America, that they have genes and connected us to the land. And those are the people who actually need to be marketed to get back to the soil and see how they feel. Because when you see people who need and who want to go who's from somewhere else, you know, it's like, damn, when they realize they're from this place, they kind of want to go visit and see it, you know. And there's a lot of our people that's in Africa that got taken also, and they over in Europe, Africa, they got a certain bot. They just seem a little different, you know. So now you come back and unite with your brothers. We got some Irelands that was naturally from over there. We got some Irelands that was taken over there. Some Irish ones, not Irish but Irelands, you know. This is a moment of us uniting ourselves, the right ones, the ones who are connected with the source, you know, who have that talent, those gifts, you know, involving your spirit, the gifts of the soul, you know, actually utilizing your ancestors. That's what we normally do. And for those of us who are in the world, we have bold ancestors who already traveled, who are not afraid to travel with you. So continue doing your good work, man, and get that information back to us. And we're going to go ahead and continue to remove all the false information. Like, we don't really need the help of any false shepherd or false prophet who had a chance to establish, you know, land or any type of business, you know, for the multitude of niggas in America. And I mean that for us to thrive. You know, in order to do that, you got to have a grocery store, farm. Those right there creates jobs, not slave making. But if you're in a custody personality disorder, you'll feel like you want to own